What's going on, folks? Welcome back to Bed Boys, your one-stop shop for all your energy drink reviews and performance talks. I'm Christian,
I'm Brian.
and we are the Bed Boys. Today we got another banger for you, solo, just Brian and I, and
Solo Dolo.
solo dolo. Let's take it back. Let's take it back to the roots. We got to start off with the energy drink. So I guess I'll let in a little bit secret. So currently back in the States, and had to go to the old OG Circle K, just like we did at Elon. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick up whatever I find that's good at Circle K this morning, and that's what I'm gonna rip. So I got a C4 Hawaiian Punch. So I don't know how long these have been out for, but this is kind of the first time that I've seen them. Got the fruit juicy red flavor. I know they've obviously done the popsicle. They've obviously done the Jolly Rancher, but now they're doing Hawaiian Punch. I don't know what other flavors they're doing, if they're just doing the red, but saw this bad boy and had to pick it up. So kind of excited for this. Hawaiian Punch definitely slapped, when you were a kid. So see how close it is to the real thing.
This is so crazy because I almost picked that same can up when I
Really?
got my can. I was like, maybe I just go back and do this one again. I was like, I remember like drinking these are really good. But then right next to it was this, which is funny you should say that C4 did Popsicle because we reviewed Popsicle and it sucked
Yes.
really bad.
Real bad.
Now I am giving it this a second go around if I can stop stuttering. But this isn't Popsicle. It's a flavor that everyone normally loves, and I'm not huge on, but I'm gonna give it a try because it's a C4 creamsicle flavor, like actual creamsicle.
Oh,
So
I haven't
I'm
seen that. That actually
me.
sounds good.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not normally like an orange cream, but like actual creamsicle might be the thing that puts it over the edge for me.
Hmm.
Should we pop that top?
Let's pop that top, baby.
I mean, that's a solid pop. Wow, it smells good. Now my can is not cold, so I've got ice here too. But off first
Wow.
rip, yeah, off first rip, as someone who's not naturally a orange cream guy, wow.
The Hawaiian Punch is interesting because I think, to me, fruit punch is really tough to do in an energy drink. It usually comes out pretty trash, in my opinion. Um, the flavor is close. It's not. I don't think it's as close as like how they got with the Jolly Rancher flavors.
Yeah,
And I think the carbonation throws it off too, just because like it's weird having like carbonated Hawaiian Punch. I think
you're
that's what.
miss like the original, just like flat kind of juice flavor.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like cough syrup by any means, but it isn't my favorite. If I'm being completely honest. But
This
there are definitely much worse fruit punch flavors out there. How's that
this is
creamsicle
not,
treating you?
it's not my favorite because it's orange cream. However, it is damn good.
And the flavor profile is like close to an actual creamsicle.
It's so like you ever obviously you've eaten a creamsicle, but like when you take a creamsicle popsicle out of the package and you like bite that first corner and it goes like that almost like orange sherbet, but not quite sherbet, but like that real like tart orange popsicle flavor.
Mm,
And then you get like a very smooth like vanilla sweet cream.
yes,
That's it like you're look, I got no idea what they do to get that done, but when you sip this, you get that bite flavor profile experience of sharp orange, vanilla finished with vanilla sweet cream, and then blending together.
that's nice. That's really nice.
And
I
it
am mess.
the orange smells, it tastes just like the actual orange from popsicle.
I am messing with the can here too. They kind of went all out with the Hawaiian Punch theme. Got the
Yeah,
surfboard, ocean in the background. Got a little tropical theme there, so I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, not great. Obviously, like C4 is like a solid energy blend. 200 milligrams caffeine, got some beta alanine in there.
Mhm.
I'm a fan. It's a solid ingredient profile for sure. But yeah, let's man, let me tell you. So, what's the longest you've ever having to drove your car? What's like the longest drive you've ever done in
In, like,
totality?
in totality.
Yeah, in one day and in totality. I feel like you've done like a fucking 20 hours straight if I know you.
My longest in totality is my longest one day.
Oh my god, that's crazy. How long was it?
22 hours.
Oh, that's insane.
Letterkenny, Pennsylvania, all the way like through Wisconsin, and then over to Minnesota.
Holy cow. That's wild, man.
Yeah,
So, okay.
that fucking blew. It
Yeah,
sucked.
that's how much caffeine did you have to take during that time?
So like the weird thing is like this is the shitty part. We worked like a half day before we hit the road. So I was like driving
Oh,
through the night.
what was this for? Was this for like your
So it was
dad
when
with
I used to
construction?
yeah, when I used to work for my dad. So like it was just like fucking get up and go.
Yes, sir.
Dude, total caffeine. God, that's I know you're like I know this drive for you is gonna be rough. That you probably had it. Like I'll put it this way. Like when I go see my parents and I like drive back because we have the dogs and everything, I'm usually, driving back to them takes one day. That's about 12 hours.
Hmm.
That's like 3 to 5 energy drink day.
Okay.
You put that with max tiredness, you just worked, and it's 22 hours. I
Holy
would imagine
shit.
like I probably had somewhere of like 8 to 9 energy drinks.
Holy cow.
Like I know my piss was just it looked like coffee. And I know I had coffees as well because some of the places we stopped like didn't have energy drinks. So I was like, all right, just let me get a coffee.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be surprised, but that's probably about par for the course for what I was expecting, to be honest. Um, yeah, for me, like, so to give context, drove from Iowa to Arizona. Didn't have to do it in one day. Didn't want to do it in one day. I feel like I really don't know if I could do like 20 plus hours in a day straight. I just don't know if I got that in me.
You got that dog.
12, yeah, I don't know that like the 12 around the 12 mark is like I feel like most people can do that. After that, that's when it's like really starting to
It gets on you.
yeah, it gets on you and like you're driving in the dark. Like my car has shitty headlights, so like I try not to drive too far into the dark to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But dude, driving through Nebraska, it's just one of those states that just could
You're like,
just
why is
dissolve,
it?
and it would probably just make everything better. Um, no disrespect to any Nebraska people out there, but that drive
Nebraskans.
is just so fucking terrible. Like you get so yeah, I go from my house, go down through Des Moines, and then once you get past, you know, Omaha, Lincoln, then you're just
That's the
it's
start of the
just
state,
nothing.
man, really. Like,
Yeah.
you think about it.
Yep. Go all the way past what is that one town? Ogallala, Nebraska. That doesn't even sound real. Um,
What's in Western Nebraska?
it's really not much because I mean you get past like Lincoln and Omaha. That you do pass by some towns. Like you go by Kearney, D2 school there, and
Nebraska,
then
currently pretty
yep,
good.
you go through like the Kearney Archway. They make like I think they make like a big deal about it because they know there's just nothing there. They want to like break up the drive for people, um, and then you just keep going by these like small towns, and obviously like it's Midwest. It's just flat farmland, um, and yeah, it takes you like 5 hours to get through it. And then it's kind of the same thing in I'd never driven in Colorado before. I've been there, but I've always flew in right into Denver. Eastern Colorado is kind of the same thing. Like it doesn't just turn. I mean, obviously, it's not going to just turn to mountains right away. But
Yeah.
that,
It's a little
like that,
flat.
yeah, it's still pretty flat. So that first day of driving, terrible. kind of gritted through that. And then it was kind of like polar opposite on the second half because you go, okay, you start from
Mountain.
Denver. Right. You start from Denver. You go Denver down through Colorado Springs, Pueblo, like
And
Trinidad,
you have gorgeous scenery, like
incredible, incredible.
incredible drive. Like you're also like I'm assuming you kind of hit that in the morning.
Yes. So it's like
So that's
sun.
been gorgeous.
Exactly.
Just the complete opposites.
Yeah. So you go through like southern Colorado, then you get into New Mexico. It's like more of the same. That was like a really pretty drive. Never been through New Mexico. Like you go through like Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and then you get into Arizona. It's like the same thing. It's like mountains, like a lot of actually elevation change, which I was kind of surprised
Yeah,
by. And like
it's kind of like the Red Rock kind of mountains. I don't want to say it's not
exactly.
rock like Colorado, but it is like Red
No.
Rock Mountain type deal.
Yeah. Super, super beautiful. So like it was like the first half of the drive sucked. The second half of the drive was immaculate. I'm like, damn, I could live in like any of these places. Looks freaking sick. So, but yeah, man, road trips are interesting. I've definitely taken some. I don't know. Usually, to get to the cool places, you got to go through some shitty places. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm trying to think of any. Have you taken any like road trips with your friends before, where you've just like gone like, fuck it, we're gonna go somewhere?
I'm trying to think. I've done obviously I do them with like my girlfriend, but
Right.
the two that we've done really has been like obviously we've gone in like California or not in California. Jesus Christ, Brian.
That'd be crazy. That's super
I've done
long.
like North Carolina once to visit some friends. Obviously like going back home, like that's a big ass road trip.
Yeah.
It's a little harder with the dogs, but like flying with like Team Builder, it's like you go on these trips all the time, so you just but we don't drive
Yeah.
for the most part. Um, there's one that I we did a retreat in essentially like outside of like Roanoke, Virginia, or kind of like Blacksburg. Um, and that drive was incredible. It was a 2.5 hour drive, and it was the same thing. Like it's a really short drive in all honesty, but I'm just like or it was 3.5, but I'm driving through like the mountains in the morning. I got like a coffee in my hand and a white monster in the other, knees on the steering wheel.
I was gonna
Just
say no hands on the wheel.
but you're just like driving through the mountains and like it was it was summer, but like you still have like this like kind of like I don't want to say like this mist or like fog in the morning that rolls over the mountains, and you're just sitting there like, dude, this is like when people say America the Beautiful, this is what they're talking about. Like it's that kind of thing. Um, so there is like those are so fun. I think they're under like a road trip like in America, especially because like people don't realize like how massive it is.
Yeah.
And as not to say that we have a ton of like international viewers here, but like even the people who live in America, like you can drive 9 hours in the state of Texas and still be in Texas. Like
Exactly.
each state is essentially the size of a country in Europe.
Yeah.
Like it's insane to think about. And then you literally go from one state to another, and the topography, the climate, everything is just different. It's such a cool experience when you actually switch over. Unless you go from like Indiana to Ohio, then there's nothing.
Yeah. The Midwest is generally like you can mistake one for another pretty easily,
Yeah.
which is why people get them mixed up. um, yeah, it is weird because like I remember like when I was in DR, like, and that was kind of one of the things that was cool. You could go from one side of the country to the other in like 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, I was gonna say like I can be like at the opposite side. Um, but it is cool. Like you can go. I remember when I drove out to Elon the first time, like from Iowa, and I went through. I think it was Virginia. It was probably West Virginia on the way out, and you go through the. I can't remember what that bypass is through those mountains, but I
The
remember it
term
was the turnpike. Yeah, I remember that I got fucking told like,
they bang
oh,
you out
they
tolls at
bro,
dollars a
yeah,
pop.
they bend you over like 3 times in like less than like I feel like I was having to stop every 30 minutes. But it was pretty at least, like so at least it was
Yeah.
that. And then on my way back, I feel like I took more like not like back roads, but like I went through like more smaller towns in West Virginia. And that was like a little annoying because it was like super turny. I couldn't really go more than like 45 miles an hour for a little bit. But
Yeah.
but it was beautiful in its own right. Yeah, I remember friends and I went to. Did we go? We went to Tennessee. Yeah, we went to Tennessee. My buddy had like a family in Johnson City, and we
Oh,
actually
that's
went. Yeah, like so we went. We made that drive. That was really cool. Had to do it again when I went did my internship at Sac State. Drove from Iowa to California. That was some really cool. You get through after I got through Nebraska at least. Go through Wyoming, which is cool. Utah, really pretty. Nevada kind of is like, I mean, it's just a desert. That one kind of sucks.
that's flat. That's desert.
Yeah, yeah. Nevada is crazy, just desolate. Um, and then you get into California, and you're like that mountain area of California
Especially
where
like Sacramento. Like I don't want to say
exactly
like up, but
you
upper
go
part.
through. Yeah, no, I remember we went through like I think it was Downers Pass or something like that. I can't
Yeah.
remember if it was the place where they ate the people, and remember, I was just like riding my brakes down for like I don't know how many miles, and just
Break
like
that shot.
yeah, my gas mileage was good though.
Oh yeah.
According, it's getting like 50 miles to a gallon.
Dude, people don't really understand like I said, like the difference of each state and how massive that difference is. When we were I must have been like 8 or 9 years old. My parents they wanted to do like an RV trip. That was like the thing when I was younger. You'd rent an RV. And if anyone's ever seen the movie RV with Robin Williams, that was that trip. It was really cool because we went like all the way down to like Kentucky. We went to Tennessee. We went downwards into like Alabama kind of place. Alabama has some, I don't care what anyone says, Alabama has some of the best barbecue. Um, I
I'm
had
sure.
I had some of the absolute best barbecue at these little tiny holes in the wall. That's when I was 9 years old. I discovered like Alabama like white barbecue sauce, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was so good. But like we were driving on the road, this freaking pop up or the pop out, the slider like opened up while my sister was sleeping on it down the highway. So we had to like get 2x4s and wedge it in. I slipped on like the bunk that was like above the driver's seat. We didn't know that it was cicada season. So I woke up terrified from just hearing like them like hitting the top of the camper like this like like we had to remove the is it the it's gray water, but it's really brown water. We had to like do that, and then like the hose like just like broke, so like just going everywhere. Like everything that could have went wrong. But like I vividly remember like us like driving through the mountains, like and my dad's trying to maneuver this camper through the mountains. Like it's beautiful though, all this different stuff. Like those kind of trips, like even when they're disastrous because of all the scenery, like you just remember it like fondly because of that.
Yeah, I remember one. This wasn't really a road trip, but this was when I was probably in middle school. My dad had bought a new lawnmower. He bought one of those like zero turn lawnmowers, and it was a specific brand that was only sold in like Tennessee or Kentucky or something like that.
Hell yeah,
And so he's like, and they
we're
sell
going
it to
down
you
there to get it.
there, and you can like avoid some tax. So like after baseball practice one day, my dad just was like, "Yeah, like we're going to pick up this lawnmower." And we just like drove all day, stayed at this like whack ass hotel in Kentucky or whatever. Met like the guy from the company at like a McDonald's the next day. We did like the transfer like because like we had to like my dad has a pickup truck, and then we hooked up. We had like a trailer behind because we needed to be able to pull this big ass lawnmower back to Iowa. We do the like the transfer at the McDonald's, and then we drive all the way back. And that was like the weekend. Like we're back in the and like I wasn't old enough to drive, so my dad was just like having to eat it. Um,
Just white knuckles on the steering
yeah,
wheel.
and my dad's not an energy drink guy for sure, but he pounded a lot of coffee. It was like coffee and peanut M&Ms. I remember that like vividly.
Dude, are
Um,
all dads the same? My dad is like a
licorice and peanut M&Ms.
dude, swear to God, was it Twizzlers?
Yes, 100%. Gotta be
All Midwest dads are the same dad. My
facts.
dad if you go to my parents' house, my dad has a bag of Twizzlers just living. If he works through one, he goes to Menards. Shout out
Clean.
Menards.
Yeah.
Gets peanut M&Ms and Twizzlers and puts them, and he has like a jar that it was like and my mom's got like this like old like crystal candy jar that she got from my grandmother, and my dad just puts peanut M&Ms in there 24/7. But dude, so my dad, like when I used to work for him, I know we're kind of like spiraling, but this is a great story. This shit used to piss me off. So we'd have to be at work by 6, which meant he was in the truck, and we would always stay in a hotel 3 minutes away from the job site. At work by 6, so you were in the truck by 4:45, basically. And he's like honking on the horn if you're not out there, like you're late. I'm like, we don't have to be there for an hour. Like I could walk there. I'm good. So he'd go and he'd stop and he'd get a coffee. We'd go to like a 7-Eleven or something. And he'd never complain about the taste of a coffee. Well, how he judges a coffee is if it is hot enough to probably melt steel.
Yeah, burn your mouth, otherwise it's trash.
Yeah. And he would sit in the car, man, and you're sitting in the passenger seat. So he's like right next to you and he just holds on to his coffee like this and he just goes
Until it's gone.
until it's gone. And you just hear that the entire time. And I'm like, I am gonna lose my mind.
And then they'll tell you not to do that with like a drink at a
Oh
restaurant.
my gosh. You go like this, you take like a little sip, and he's like, oh God,
Tell you
you
you're being fucking
pig.
rude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
We're gonna be like that one time when we're old though, and we're gonna be like, oh, just I need this hotter.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can, but
To a certain extent, I can't wait to get old. Just because you
giving a
stop
fuck
caring
about anything.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wish I could like fast forward that part, but like still stay somewhat young. Like that's I need to
Yeah,
figure
like I
out
don't
that.
want to have my knees hurt all the time, but
Yeah.
I would love to be at a place where like you're almost like so unbothered with everything. You're like, I don't give a shit. Like that's not my chair, not my problem. You know, the kind of
Yeah.
thing. A dad is
What's going
so
on here?
unbothered.
Fucking lights went out. I think you can still see me all right.
Just got a nice shadow backlit Cub symbol behind you. Just
It's all good.
out here grinding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, my dad was definitely like that. I remember like one time I was like late. I had like an appointment. I think it was like orthodontist or some shit after, and I would have to go like right after practice. Can't remember what sport it was during the winter time. So it was either wrestling or basketball. And he just like, so we would, I feel he can relate to this too. We were, we had like two gyms at my high school. One was
Hmm.
like the new gym, and then one was like the old gym, which was also our cafeteria. So that tells you how like shitty it was. Um,
I can relate to
zero
that.
zero grip on that floor. Zero grip on that floor. Um, and then our locker room was like we called it the dungeon because it basically was like it was like underneath the gym, and
Oh
like
God.
it was like underneath the gym, and so it was like underground, no windows, nothing. Locker room. It had like this like cage where they would lock up like equipment, and then like showers and this and that. And I remember like he like somehow like got in there, and he was just like dressed in his like this was wintertime, so it was hunting season, in
So he's
his
in
like
his full hunting getup. He's got the camo,
camo
the orange.
overalls, like, and was just like, "Come on, we're gonna be late." Like, just like the amount of not giving a fuck to be able to do that. Like at the time, I was probably hella embarrassed. In fact, I know I was. But looking back, I'm just like, damn, like that's respect,
Yeah.
respect. Like,
There'd be times like if my like when I like couldn't drive yet, or like say like my car was in the shop and my dad had to pick me up, he'd pull up in his fucking car or his truck in like the bus line, and I'm like, Dad, you can't be here. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, get in
yeah,
the
like
car.
it's just. But he would always like talk shit about like the way people parked.
Oh my
He-
God. Why would you park like
He's
look,
like,
look how this asshole parked. Why would you do
yeah.
that?
Well, the funny part was is like because my dad lived like he lived a little bit like far from where I went to school, like 40 minutes. Um, and he would talk about it like, oh, people over here, like they're from a different country. It's like people over here don't know how to park. Like the people that park like where he lives, like know how to park so much better. He's like, I don't know what they teach them over here. And I'm like, Dad, like, one, it's not like a different state or a different country. Two, like, you're not actually from either of these areas. So I don't know what you're like defending or like attacking here.
Dude, when we would go after we moved to Wisconsin, when we would go back to Illinois to like visit family or anything, my dad would drive around. He's like, "These people in Illinois don't know how to drive. They don't know how to drive." And I'm like,
You
my mom
came
would,
from here.
yeah, my mom would be in the
It's
seat
fucking
next to him, and
funny.
she's like, "You grew up here. Like you're actually from here. Like that's like you can't say these people like you're included in that."
Yeah, it never made sense to me. He'd be like, oh, all these people from here that are 40 minutes away from where I somehow learned a different way of driving and parking.
At Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
Yeah, that was my dad to the people of Winthrop, Iowa, when it came to parking. I think.
Obviously this is our Halloween episode too, so I have to ask, did you
Oh
do anything for
fuck.
Halloween?
No, I didn't do shit. Well, actually, I mean, well, I worked, but
Yeah,
um,
same.
that's kind of like an everyday thing. No, I feel like I've never been. Did you ever like go to like Halloween parties like in college or like after you were in college? I feel like I never dressed up after like middle school or even like elementary school or probably middle school. I think we still had that shit.
Elementary elementary school, we obviously went trick or treating, kind of phased out like start of middle school. Didn't really like get into it a ton. I feel like, we had a pretty similar like upbringing and like I guess like experiences growing up to where like you kind of just phase out of stuff and it's like it never really comes back. Um like I think I dressed up one time and I put like a printout paper of like a flame on my chest and I was like, "Okay, I guess we'll go out." And then like but that was really it. Like I hate dressing up. I hate when people do like the corny stuff and they get way too into it. It
It's like,
has
bro, you're
nothing.
fucking 28. Like, grow the
Yeah, I'm
fuck
like you
up.
need like
Like, I
like
don't want to be
grow
a
up.
fun hater, but like, really, like,
You don't have
I don't
anything
know.
better to do. Like you're looking so forward to this.
Yeah, and you're looking so stupid. Like,
Yeah, like I
you're
don't
gonna
know
put
what
this
it
on your
is.
Instagram. Like, you're gonna post this.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Same thing with yeah. Like, I don't. I can kind of get it with like college, even though I never did it. But like, yeah, I don't know, guys and girls too. Like, I'm not discriminating here. Like, I think it's all stupid. Don't care.
You're just doing too much, man. And I get like it's all in like good fun and whatever, but it's like here's my thing too is like people will go out and they'll bang out, $100 costumes. And I'm like, you just dropped a
Exactly.
hundred dollars. Like this might be the cheapskate in me, but I'm like, you just dropped $100 to look stupid
Yeah,
for
and
one for one night.
and I know you're not wearing that same costume next year. You're gonna bang out another 100 piece on another costume.
What are we doing? Where
Exactly.
are you
Like
working? Where you can just afford to blow that? What's your rent look like? What's your mortgage look like?
that's exact. Yeah, like 100%. I'm like, yeah, like hear people going to like Spirit Halloween to pick up a costume, and they're like, yeah, it was like $70. I'm like, Jesus. Like when I, I feel like when I dressed up, we went to like Kmart
Goodwill.
or Walt. Yeah, like back when like I don't think the store exists anymore. We had this thing called Pomida, so it was like
We had Shopko.
so it was like Walmart, and then you go like Kmart is like a tier below that, and then Pomida was like at the fucking floor level. Um, that's probably why they went out of business. Like, yeah, Pomida would have like you'd get a mask and like a whole costume for like less than twenty
$10.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you get like a plastic sword and a Jason mask and call it good. And
Yeah.
a black hoodie that I already have.
If it wasn't easy, I didn't want to do it when it came to stuff like that. Like you'd like figure out like something like kind of like the Jim Halpert from like The Office where he puts like the three black dots and he's like on 3 hole punch Jim. That's just like I just seeing people get like way too into it. I
it
don't
just
know what it is.
I feel like it just tells me like they just have like a very boring life outside of that, which like I kind of feel bad for, but
Yeah. Like
that kind of makes me a
you
little
don't
bit
have cool
sad.
stuff to look forward to regularly, so like this is your Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me a little bit sad, but like I'm like, well,
It
oh
is what
well.
it is. Yeah, it is what
Yeah.
it is, I guess.
Yeah. But long story short, I didn't really do anything besides work and the normal stuff I do on a regular day for Halloween. And the Halloween's over.
Yeah. Like I ordered a pizza, or hold on, I should say this. My girlfriend ordered a pizza and wings, and we watched some scary movies, which ended up not being scary, but like that's also like a normal Friday for us.
Yeah, that's nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I watched the World Series game, game 6, really good game.
Great game. I
Um
mean, when we went to was it game 2? No, it was either game 3 or game 4 and we went to like 18 innings.
yeah, insane.
Like that's incredible. Like dude, some of the memes that you've seen on people hating the Dodgers, which understandable, like they just pay the luxury tax, like they're in a big market, they can just afford to continuously get players over and over again. Like it's really tough to I hate to say this, but it's very LA as an attitude, and it's really tough for a lot of like American people to like be Dodgers fans outside of that because I don't want to say, I mean, it's anti-America kind of in that sense where it's just like they think they're better than you and they don't care that they're just going to pay whatever they can to win versus like work hard, develop the players, get the right people in, that kind of thing. So like when you guys won the World Series, like the Cubs, obviously you guys had talent out the ass, but a lot of those players were just really good players. It wasn't, hey, they were really good for, the Tampa Bay Rays, and then you guys just said, screw it, let's offer them $180 million, that kind of deal. It was a lot of like genuine, I don't want to say like genuine development, but like that kind of farmed within your own system to
Yeah,
to
more
get there.
homegrown talent.
Thank you. That's exactly the word I was thinking of. But it's one of those things where it's like you can almost like even people who weren't Cubs fans, like again, White Sox guy, I should hate the Cubs more than I do, but thanks to you, I don't. Like even then though, you can appreciate it because it's like okay, like that's like the city of Chicago is homegrown talent, build this team up, go try to win it all as a team versus like let's just go buy every good player and go with the Golden State Warriors model where we just go super team.
Yeah. But also it's
So
like there's no salary cap in MLB, so that's like they're not going
it's
against the
tough.
rules.
Yeah, like they're playing within the rules. It's just morally incorrect.
Yeah, so that's unless that changes, like that's probably not going to change. But
So for like, what would you kind of do to fix that? Would you establish like a hard salary cap, and like what does that kind of look like?
I don't know because I think if they put a salary cap, I honestly think there's a good chance that the players would go on strike because they know like they can make that much money and they're gonna be oh like you're gonna put a limit on this like Soto already got this crazy contract like why can't I try to get that? You're gonna cap me at this, and it's
Like the cat's kind of out of the bag already. It's like the
right like
NIL stuff.
you've already paid someone, you've already had someone do a $700 million contract. Like how are you gonna tell them that you can't pay? Maybe you could do it as like a, and again, I don't think they're going to tell you like, oh, you can't play a certain player over this much, but they're going to put the total at a certain amount. But how do you make that?
How do you
I
make
don't
it
know.
work every year, similar to like the NFL, which the NFL has like a very, very low salary cap in comparison to the rest of professional sports, which is kind of crazy. But it's like again, it's kind of like the NCAA now with NIL. Like it's really like the cat's out of the bag. It's really
Right.
hard to go grab it and put it back in and reel everything in. But then you kind of think about this in the extent of like top tier players don't ever go down in salary. If where I'm going with this is like every year, like we look at the NFL, every year someone's the new highest paid quarterback ever. You'll have the new highest paid pitcher ever. You'll have the largest contract almost every year. Like that's only going to go up. I don't feel like it's going to continuously go down. But at what point does that like where is the limit on it?
Yeah, I don't
You
know, and
know?
it's tough because like there's a pretty big discrepancy in value of the teams too. Like I'm trying to think I think the Yankees are the most valued franchise with like I think they're worth like $7 billion, and then you got all the way down at 30. The last team in the MLB I think is, I want to say, Miami, maybe Miami Air Athletics, and they're right around 1 billion. So that's still like a lot of money, but like the teams in the top 10, they're going to be worth 3 to 4 billion. Like I know the Cubs are up there. You're going to be limited somewhat by that, and like how it's also interesting when you think about how the owners play into that. Like think about football, like Cowboys, Jerry Jones. So a lot of people would probably argue that there's some things that they could have done or should be doing that they could be winning, like instead of just like trying to maximize the amount.
Of money being made by the organization.
Exactly, which at the end of the day, it is a business. Like
Hmm.
you're in the entertainment business, but I think and this is why, like, yeah, the Dodgers have a crazy high payroll, but to be honest, like I don't think people realize how much money like a winning team brings to like
Themselves
that.
and the city.
Exactly. Like if you win a World Series, how much money that brings to, like, with the viewership, the merchandise, just like that brings a lot of money. That'll probably, and what they did was really smart too, is like with the Otani contract, most of that money is deferred.
Hmm.
And I don't know what you can, I mean, I'm sure like MLB teams have like investment accounts. Like they're probably going to like try to invest money. So like it's probably not going to be as much money as you think. And if they end up winning 3 to 5 championships, which like that window
Is a
is
very
definitely
big
there.
possibility.
Exactly. Like that window is definitely there. Like that's, it's weird to say like that. That's a good deal, but it probably is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially if that money's deferred too, then like what they can basically do with that is either spend it on other players in the short term, or like you said, vest that money somewhere to where it's going to grow. You know, like they probably have a 60-person finance team for the Dodgers. They can be making money hand over fist on 10% to 18%, depending on who's going to be the most scrutinous with it, to where by the time that they have to cash out that first, like say that first to like deferred check or that deferred year, like that probably has already been recouped through that vesting. So I like you're right though, like it's one of those things where like if they're strategic in how they play that, it's a very it ends up being a very small thing because they gave themselves so much wiggle room to make that money. And by the time that they do win, those three championships, whatever it might be, maybe Toronto beats them. Hopefully, go Blue
mhm.
Jays in this sense, America's team, but not really America's team.
Yeah.
um, but like if that's there, then what will occur is that it's basically the equivalent of paying somebody just a little bit more, obviously a premium contract, but a little bit more than that higher than average salary.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I don't really necessarily. It's not that teams that don't have as much money can't compete. Like we see, I mean, the Tigers made a good playoff run, and I think they're kind of around that 20 and the 20 spot
Mhm.
in terms of total value. Like it's been done before. Like teams like that can compete. Like um, I know the Marlins have won a World Series back in the early 2000s. Like they're one of like the lower valued teams in terms of like total net worth. So like it
Mhm.
can be done. It just takes, and I think especially today, like I think, if you've seen the movie Moneyball, like the Athletics were kind of ahead of the curve with the analytics stuff, but now everyone's onto that. Like everyone's doing that. So it's not really like an advantage. When everyone's doing it, it's not really an advantage anymore. That was
Yeah,
their kind of edge because they were spending a lot less money on their payroll, but using analytics to get that edge. But now that everyone's doing that, what are you going to do now? Um,
he gets on base.
exactly. Which, like, I mean, but you kind of saw it with the Brewers this year. Like the Brewers had one of like the lowest payrolls, and they made
They
a
made
really
a
good play.
great playoff run.
Exactly, and then they won the most games in the regular season. But are you good with just making a good playoff run, or there's a
Is that
difference between making?
enough?
Yeah, there's a difference between making it to the championship series versus winning the World Series.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's like, I'll say this, and honestly, I don't care if we talk. just sports the entire time, that's cool too. I'm okay with that. But like you look at like being a Packer fan for me, the expectation is like win a Super Bowl as having the most NFL championships. It's like us in Kansas City, you know, but it seemed like for the past like 7 years, we're content with like being a good team, not this isn't good enough to go win it all. At least that's perception from a lot of the fan base to the like front office. Whereas the front office is like, well, we won like 13 games. We made the divisional round. It's like, okay, but we lost in the divisional round. Like, why are you not bringing that in? And obviously, Green Bay is a smaller market team in terms of the NFL, to where it's not in one of these major cities. It is harder to get, you know, a player to go to want to go live in Ashwaubenon, Wisconsin, because technically that's where the stadium is. Um, versus like even just going 2 hours south, 3 hours south, and going to live in Chicago, where they
Yeah.
have these steakhouses and clubs, and these
Yeah.
guys are 22, 27 years old. Like that's what they want to do. um so it's like, what do you do to make up for that? You have to be consistent winners. You have to either commensurate that with outside marketing value, where they, you can bring them into this world, and it's like, okay, you guys understand, like, it's not like you'll be an NFL player in a big city. You will be a legitimate superstar to this entire state. You have to be able to like be creative about what you can offer, even if it is just monetary and wiggling that around. But then they've gotten themselves into some trouble where a lot of our salary cap's invested in, for lack of a better term, kind of three players right now within Jordan Love, Micah Parsons, and then Rashawn Gary. Like, we have large investments on the salary cap each year on those three players. So it's like, how do you keep this younger talent? And everyone says like, oh well, you should be okay because you have a lot of young talent on the roster who's good. Okay, but what happens when that talent becomes fruitful? Like, what happens when a Tucker Kraft plays like this for another 2 years, and all of a sudden he's worth the highest paid tight end, in the NFL? Do you
Right.
have that cap to pay him? Do you have the cap to maybe bring Josh Jacobs back for 1 to 2 years, now that he's a little older on that contract, or sign his, Green, the backup, to become a starter? Do you have the money to hold on to other talent in the defensive backfield with the linebackers, with like Quay Walker, who's like really starting to become that kind of like good backer in the system? Or now do we get to a point where those players, like we've done historically, like you look at like Micah Hyde, you look at Casey Hayward, where they've moved on from a player after they've shown that they're good enough, and they go somewhere else. I mean, hand up, I'm a big Micah Hyde guy. Micah Hyde left the Green Bay Packers and became a 5-time All Pro with the Buffalo Bills. Do you know how much that hurts, especially when we sucked as a secondary for like those same exact 5 years, and you're watching this guy go 7 interceptions in a season with like 80 like just all over the field, and you're like, why did we not attempt to bring him home? It's one of those things that just it's so tough that you gotta like to deal with. And it's like, to the same argument that you were just making, it's like, is being good enough? I don't think so. I think like at a certain point, especially for those teams that are consistently good, there's like a tipping point, and that tipping point is you have to cash in and go for it. Whether it be, hey, restructure things to get this player back home, make sure that you can make a vying role at the big game. Whether it be the World Series, whether it be the NBA championship, whether it be the Super Bowl, those things have to happen. And it's like, you start to look at like a front office perspective. And obviously there's a lot more that goes on in the front office than what any fan can kind of perceive. But it's like, you look at that, and you say, what are you doing? Why are you letting them walk? Why are you letting them go? Um, and to certain extents, it's like you see that at all levels in some phase where, like in the professional sports league, it's their contracts. It's, this person wants to be a bigger role player on the team, this and that. And then you go down to like the college level, and you're like, okay, well, there's going to be the big discrepancy of like, okay, well, they leave a mid-major to go to an FBS school, whether, it's for NIL, and they want the more spotlight to go to the next level. But when a lot of it's equivalent, it's like, why are you not trying to make them more comfortable here to keep them here? Or are you okay being a developmental school, quote unquote, now in the system where the transfer portal is wild, where it's basically free agency every year? Why are you okay with that? Like you're putting people in bad positions. You can't, if that's something you're okay with, you can't not be outwardly about that, especially in regards to like your coaching staff, the fans who watch you. You got to come out and say that. You can't be behind closed doors and say we're okay. We're a transfer school or we're a developmental school, whatever it is. But then you look at them and say, why aren't you winning? It's like, well, that's why we're not winning. We don't have the resources or this, that, or the other. Same thing when it comes to, like the Oakland Athletics or now the Las Vegas Athletics. Kind of their argument is like, we're a small market team. It's like, all right, now they've kind of made that change. I
Mhm.
think the first couple of years it's going to be a transitionary period as they move into Las Vegas, but then they're going to get more money from being in Vegas. I think it sucks for the city of Oakland, but it is what it is. Like a change kind of was necessary in order to kind of keep up and not slowly disappear
Son of a bitch.
in the MLB. Like they have to be a viable team in the league to get more players and continue this. So one of those things, kind of has to give on that extent in order to be successful. And it's not something that I think that a lot of fans like, but at the same time, you know, were the fans in Oakland going to build them a new stadium?
No.
Exactly. It's like, okay, well, we need a bigger stadium, we need more consistent output at the games. It's like it's this, in that extent, it's almost like the WNBA kind of argument where they're like, well, they should be paid more. It's like, well, why don't you go to the games then? Because they get more viewership and then they have more money to pay the players.
Right.
Well, and it's this, that, and the other. It's like
Can't have both.
you got to put up or shut up.
Yeah.
It's like if you want this team to stay, you got to go watch those games, or you got to be okay like with a tax funded new stadium in order to make those like next steps, or whatever it is. But you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because I mean, you see it in college. Like, there's been like three pretty prominent head football coaches get fired this year, not because like they had like losing records, but like the standard at those specific schools, like LSU, Penn State, Florida, is just so high, and they're in such competitive conferences that it's like if you're not competing in the college football playoff, like that's not good enough. And I mean, with Penn State, even like they went all the way to the national championship. Um,
Semifinal.
or semifinal, yeah, and that
Go
still
Notre
wasn't
Dame.
good. Yeah, that still wasn't good enough. Like the standards are very high in college. It's
Yeah.
and sometimes in pro, but depends on the organization. As far as like the winning goes, and I know it's obviously different for each sport with the number of games, but
Like you look at James Franklin with Penn State, every year was, probably a 10-win season, but did they ever really take the Big Ten championship outside of like 1 to 2 years? Even making that semifinal in the college football playoff, they look at it and they're kind of going back, and if you drop a game or two the next year, it's like, okay, like this guy's in their eyes, and I'm gonna say this, it's like in their eyes, they look and go, he's not enough to get us over the edge.
yeah,
We need somebody else. you know, or you look at like LSU. LSU is going to be a hard job to take. And I say this as I like LSU, but like their standard of excellence, especially like after Saban like took them through that national championship, and then obviously having like these other people around them, like with Coach O, and then winning literally like having statistically the best team in college football history that year. It's like Coach O got essentially pushed out the next year after really not doing bad at all. But it's like they look at that and they go, all right, well, you have 3 losses in the SEC. It's like, yeah, the SEC is a tough balls conference, man. Like,
yeah,
you're going to have some of those years.
yeah,
But they all
and
expect the Saban product to be consistent across every school. And it's like, that's so much different. Like, not saying Saban wasn't excellent his first couple of years, but it's like he built that dynasty over the long run because Alabama was willing to invest in him as a coach. And he got people in the NFL, which helped lead more talent in every year. And he had a good system in place of, you know, he can be up 35-0 and he's going to be chewing you out in the locker room because you gave up a touchdown because it could have been a shutout. Like the expectation of excellence was so high. And then those guys knew though that by the time, when they're up 35-0, those starters get pulled. That's why they didn't ever really blow anybody out like massively unless there was like bad blood. He's putting in backups to get them reps so that by the time that they were a junior, they were going to start that 1 year, have a great year, and go to the NFL. But you kind of like the way everyone is in this like immediacy like mindset of like you come in and you need to win year one. It's like I don't care who you are, man. That's a tough thing to do. And then you kind of put it in perspective of whatever conference they're in, from a sport coach perspective, like last year, taking over and being in like that first year kind of sprints coach thing, like there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be misses on recruiting. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. Like it's really hard to, unless you come in and you're like, I have 3 people waiting on it to get an offer right now to be able to go and hit the ground running.
Yep. And then you win a conference championship the first year anyway.
I mean, not everybody's a god, but like,
yeah. But now you got to do it again. Now you got to do it again.
Now we got to do it again. Now it's like,
No, that's the standard.
Now it's the standard, and like, it's not good enough to win one conference championship. Like now, like the expectation for us going into this year, like I've mentioned before on the podcast, is like it's a triple crown. It's cross country, it's indoor, and it's outdoor in the same year. And then once that happens, it's do that again.
Do it again. Yep.
And do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And obviously, in some ways, it can get easier to do it again because you see that people are running really fast or performing really well, and that you're winning a ton. It's easier to get more people who of quality because they're attracted to that kind of thing. So it can keep building the dynasty. But like the first 2 times that it happens, it's like that's like your biggest workload. You're doing it with the same talent that maybe didn't win last year, or some slightly different talent, or some things went wrong, and the goal is to make sure it all goes right. And there's a lot of pressure with that. But like that, do it again, do it again, do it again. It's like that's the expectation. Like you have those expectations sitting on you. It's almost harder to be being chased than it is to chase. Because if you're being chased, it's like I don't have margin for error. Whereas you're chasing, it's like you almost have that little feeling of like there's no expectations.
Right.
Like
No
we're not
pressure.
expected. There's no pressure. The pressure at the top. Heavy head is the one that wears the crown. So like when you're up there, it's like, man, like you have to maintain this. Like you can't miss. The margins for error squeeze down because then they're like, okay, do you just not care? Are you losing it? What they start to look into things like that, and it's tough.
Yeah. That leads me into somewhat of an actual, not even on topic, but one of the topics I had for one of the last few weeks. How do you, because I mean, you play like multiple roles within that environment. A lot of people talk about like high performance model versus like a siloed approach. And I think a lot of people, I mean, myself included, like, I think this was brought up. I was listening to like Move the Needle podcast and they brought this up, like how like really truly difficult that is to do. And I guess it kind of depends on what your definition is of that. But like, how do you see people being able to achieve, or can you achieve kind of that high performance team / model when, at different levels, because it's going to look different at an FCS school, at a Division III school, at a pro organization. Essentially, when I think about that, it's trying to get everybody on the same page, whether you just have strength coach, sport coach, athletic trainer, and that's it, or whether you have a dietitian, psychologist, physical therapist, getting everyone on the same page. And I think the biggest thing was like communication, and that can be really tough. How do you approach that through track and field to make sure like everything runs as smoothly as possible to try to achieve that triple crown?
It's really tough. Um, and one of those things is like right, wrong, or the other, you have to put your ego aside. You could be absolutely right in a situation, but those relationships probably matter more so than that. And you can revisit the conversation later with like from a point of like, hey man, this is where I'm thinking on this. This is why I'm doing this, and allow like an actual conversation to happen. The communication aspect is probably the largest thing. And I hate to say, in this like feel good way of like making sure everybody's heard, but it's also like you have experts in areas that you're not an expert. I can't remember. It might have been Sika Strength. I was talking to Evan Mills here. He's our women's basketball and women's volleyball guy at Elon. And he had this one thing that just absolutely stuck out to me. And it was really, you will never be an expert in every capacity. You can't. You can't know everything about biomechanics and know everything about biochemistry. There's just too much knowledge to know everything about that, and you don't have enough time in the day or the bandwidth to do it, right? So if we like isolate that down to like even just departments, right? SNC knows a lot about rehab. You know who also knows a lot about rehab? Your ATs, the medical department. Your medical department knows a lot about rehab. They probably know far more than you. Maybe you know more in like the actual step 3 return to training, but they know how to get them to step 3 better than you do in most cases. Um, so like that constant communication in that, even if it's as simple as like dropping in one time a day, just hey, what's the status on this person? Where are we kind of looking at this plan, having a conversation, shared documents, whatever. And then you look at like sports psychology. How do whether it is more like performance standings, mindsets, and mindset training, or is it, the mental health of the individual? How are you communicating across those to where everybody has the necessary information to move forward in a better way? Or are you oversharing? Are you undersharing? Is someone blindsided with something? In the NCAA, it's like academics plays a part. Like, how are they standing in classes? Is that putting external stress on it? And then you even look at from like obviously different in mind because like I can sit there and talk to myself because I'm the strength coach and I'm the sport coach. But it's the other sport coaches where I'm talking to them as a strength coach, and then that conversation flips, and I'm talking to them as another sport coach. Um, so that constant communication, um, it takes a lot of diligent effort. I think it is achievable within reality. I don't think it'll ever be perfect. Um, and when I say that, it's like there's going to be hiccups, there's going to be problems. But I think the people who are attempting to be more communicative and listen to the experts in the area to help inform the decisions that they have are in a much better spot for a high performing model. Maybe not high performance, but high performing, where it's like, okay, our we look at like a roster limit now. It's like, okay, well, we're dealing with like we have an extra person, but we have like a cap on this on our piece of the roster. I can get that cap back next year. Can you roster this person for this year? Okay, well, I don't really maybe not have the scholarship for 3 people, but I can get 2. I can give you that roster spot for a year because I fulfill that roster spot. We have talent that can help us immediately, and I only have to worry about getting 2 bangers versus, do I have to try and spread it and get real thin? Then I miss on somebody because I can't offer them what they're worth. That kind of thing, or like I said, with like an AT's strength coach, AT sport coach is probably the most like common conversations that occur. It's like, all right, I need to know the status of this athlete and where we can progress because this is my plan. I need to know how far I need to regress from here for this person to be able to go forth. And then it's like, once that practice or that session goes over, it's like report back to them so they can be an understanding for the next day. Okay, cool. Well, that injury report comes out, you kind of go forward. And it's like, again, it's the more we let an ego get in the way, and I think that causes more problems. And obviously the egos grow larger as the level increases. A P4 head coach probably has some sort of like a messiah complex where everything they touch is gold and everything that happens that's wrong isn't their fault. It's a little bit easier probably at the lower levels like us at mid-major. At D2, it's probably harder to do because, each person has 8 teams. The ATs, there's probably 4 of them for the entire 22 varsity, teams in that sense. And everyone's just stretched a little bit more thin. Your sweet spot's probably mid-major for that to occur. Um, but if you can get a head coach without an ego in like P4, I think you have a really good shot because you have the most resources available. The personality conflicts are where it's going to make the problems. What interests me a ton though is professional sport in that sense. Speaking with you, speaking with, shout out our boy Matt Law Jones. I got a text from him yesterday and it was just electric. Every time I see his name pop up on my phone. Or you look at like, Jordan over at the Niners and you have these conversations, it's like everyone's so, for the lack of a better term, invested in winning because that's the only goal, right? Your goal isn't necessarily, I just want to, get them through school so they can go to the next level. It's not, they need to have a good time at like the club level or we need to make money. It's like the whole point of a professional sports organization is to win the big thing.
Hmm.
When you put that as like the overarching theme, it's like everyone's like, I need to play my role in order to push that forward. Obviously, like you might have someone who's like, well, I'm the head coach, so what I say goes. It's like, all right, cool. Don't discount what the sports scientist tells you. Don't discount what, the AT tells you, or head medical doctor, or, even just the strength coach, whatever it is. Don't discount that. If you have a head coach who's going to take that into account, even if they don't change much or anything at all, but that thought is in the back of their head to be cognizant of the information that you're giving them, you can be really okay moving forward because they don't want to screw up either. They screw up, especially when winning is the most important thing, they're gone. They're more inclined to have to listen on some of those things. Like, what do you think when, like, after seeing multiple different levels on your front from, Division 3, 2 different FCS spots, and now where you're at now, like what's the biggest differences for you?
I think it becomes a little bit more. Initially, before I took this job, I thought, okay, like more resources, more staff, it's going to be easier to try to like go towards that. And like just to preface this all, I feel like the high performance team, the high performance model is like this thing that like most people will probably never get to, but it's always like that thing we're striving for, which I think is overall a good thing. I like how you put it, like a high performing model versus like a high performance model. Um, when you add more pieces to the puzzle, though, it becomes a little bit more difficult to coordinate all those pieces. And there's always going to be constraints. Like it doesn't matter what the level is. At the end of the day, we all have the same 24 hours. And yeah, like we probably have more staff than usual, but there's still times that like we're kind of stretched thin. Or yeah, our guys don't have to go to, they don't have like an academic schedule, but we can't just make them work 12 hours a day. There's still constraints within the day of like a work day, let alone for the employees. Like there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of chaos, and it's still, you know things can still slip through the cracks if you're not on it. And I think one thing for us, I think when you have a lot of different, especially when you're centered around one sport, you think about baseball, like hitting department, pitching department, base running, defense, S&C, medical. I think something that really helps with being able to move more towards that end goal is trying to learn about other departments. Like you said, I'm never going to have as know as much about rehab, taking someone from the table, from the operating table and getting them back on the field, from especially during that first part, that early rehab, as like an athletic trainer or physical therapist. And like that's cool. I'm never like, that's not my job. But if I can try to learn a little bit more about that, then maybe that helps us bridge that gap. Like you said, if medical department can get them from that 0 to 3, and I'm really good at getting them from that 5 to 10, we need to be able to bridge that gap between 3 and 5. And I think that cross departmental education whether that's just having conversations, asking questions, and then same thing goes for like, pitching, hitting, base running. Base running, it's important to be fast. What can I learn about like base running? What can base running learn from SNC about like sprint work, stuff like that? I think the more people just have that genuine curiosity of wanting to like learn more about different departments within that sport, I think that's kind of almost like a natural way to help enhance the cohesiveness of that high performance unit. And that's tough because like not everyone wants to do that. Like maybe someone is like, I'm a strength coach. Like I'm a strength coach for a reason. It's because I'm not a pitching coach because I didn't want to be a pitching coach or a hitting coach. That's not my area of expertise. But if I do have, a genuine interest in learning more about that, I think that's only going to help towards understanding, the demands on that athlete. If we're talking about a specific athlete, can I learn a little bit about how his throwing program is structured? Okay, I have access to that information. You made a great point. Like having kind of like an open access to information, like to me, anyone should be able to look at what a guy has in the weight room. And obviously that's a little bit tougher when you get, at Simpson. I guess coaches could come down anytime and like look through our filing cabinet with like programs for all the guys, but that's a little bit different than like having like a software. Shout out Team Builder. Like you guys put out the Team Builder, the practice planner. I think that's a really good way. Like if you can have your training sessions on, Team Builder strength, you can have your practice plan on Team Builder practice. I think that's a really good way, especially for like smaller schools, high schools, small colleges, for sport coaches and strength coaches and medical to get all in the same thing. Like, can you have everything in one place? So like I'm not having to go from Team Builder or whatever software we use to a Google Sheet to, this is an Excel document on a Dropbox, like a box, like online cloud. Do I have to go to 4 different places to piece together the information for this plan for this one athlete, or can all see it in one? So it's quicker, because at the end of the day, like I said, time is a constraint for everybody. I thought that was kind of, it's kind of sounds stupid. Like I thought that was kind of going to go away to an extent, but like it's still chaotic here. Like, especially, I haven't been to spring training yet, but I've heard spring training is just crazy chaos. There's so many people, like the days are long. There's games. You have people from big leagues all the way down to like rookie ball players and coaches. Like it's still chaotic, just kind of like it is at like a small college where you have one weight room and like 20 plus teams. So I think that never goes away. I think you're just trying to figure out ways to, one, put processes in place that can be put in processes. You don't want to process everything because you don't want to take like the human element, critical thinking out of all those decisions. But simple things that like are going to be like, okay, easily to process. I think you need to be able to put those in place so that you can free up a little bit more time, that busy work, free up time for the coaches to actually, communicate with each other, whether it's, me going out to watch a base running session, or me, the pitching coach, like coming in to talk shop about S&C, something like that. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the people and having that like genuine curiosity because that it's, at the end of the day, you can't really force that. Like, okay, you're doing your job, but you could do it better if you learned a little bit more about these departments. And I think sometimes it's easy. I can see where people can say like, oh, like if I'm trying to learn, I'm a strength coach, I'm trying to learn more about hitting, that's taken away from me learning more about S&C. I can see how people look at it that way and be like, oh, that's taken away from my job. But no, actually, it's going to help you understand kind of how this holistic thing fits together, so that you're not just a quote unquote, you're not the weights guy. You're the performance coach, but at the end of the day, we don't care about like how much weight they can lift. It's about like what they do on the field. And that should be the end goal. And I think that kind of it can get lost sometimes, especially with S&C coaches, because people will say like, okay, like at the end of the day, like we don't affect the skill, but like, and I get that, like, especially at a smaller school, like if you one man and you have 15 teams, like, yeah, you probably need to just focus on doing what your job is and do it really well. But if you have a little bit more leeway and you're just working with one team, okay, what can you do to try to like affect the skill? Like, can you give input on like how a day should be structured from a practice planning standpoint? Can you integrate, if you have something like GPS technology, can you use that to inform, other sport coaches about how workload plays into athlete performance and readiness and how you can adjust plans on the day to day in order to keep guys fresh for the game? Not to say that they need to sit the game, but like, how can we like take away from other parts of the day so they can still be good for the game, especially in baseball, like you play every day. You need to be able to play every day. That's important. So I think the big thing, the idea that comes to mind is like cross-departmental education and like having that genuine curiosity. Obviously, like communication is huge too, having those like channels of communication and being able to like have that process down so people are on the same page with that. But I mean, it's tough. Like, like I said, there's constraints at every level. It's just going to be a little bit different for each one. This guy's having breakfast.
It's gonna sound so bad, but it was actually a slice of pizza that I took from last night.
Oh, where'd you get pizza from?
Ferraris, baby.
That's right. I'm like, if it's not that or Pandora's Pies, what are we doing?
Ferraris. Lasagna pizza. Yeah, I know that. I know that sigh. That sigh is, man, that sounds good.
Yeah, the lasagna and the
Um,
barbecue chicken.
Lasagna, barbecue chicken, and the last time, so the owner's son knows me now, and he's like, "You call ahead, I'll get you like grandma slice, like vodka slice." He's like, "We'll do a
Oh,
chicken parm pizza if you want it." I'm in deep. I'm in deep
wow.
there, man. That's my people. I'm gonna say that. I think this is a good one to kind of end on here, but making the most of the situation you have around you. You can go to a small school or a big school, whatever it is, and everyone thinks that that's going to solve their problems. But finding the right fit for you and somewhere where you can truly be happy. And maybe this is just me thinking off of Ferraris, but like, some people will see Elon and they'll go, okay, well, Burlington's like, I think 73,000 people. It's like, oh, I wouldn't spend time there. I would go into Greensboro because it's 20 minutes away. It's like, yeah, but then you think about like driving 20 minutes every time you want to go out to eat or something. Where I can go to Ferraris and they like, I don't even have to order. I walk in and we sit down at the table. He's bringing me my drink, my girlfriend's drink. They have the pizza in the oven. Or he's like, "Are you guys doing pizza today?" If we are, he knows exactly which one. If we aren't, he knows what our order would be, or he's gonna tell us to do this, or they bring something out for you. That kind of thing, where it's like you find situations like that, you can be truly, truly happy where you're at, where you start to think about like, I don't want to say you overlook some of the things that can be annoying in the job, but then you like when you're considering that next job, or maybe someone calls you and says, "Hey, I have an opening. Would you be interested?" Like those are things that you take into account. Where it's like, okay, well, it's not just my work here. Maybe I'm not paid enough, or maybe I don't want to. I want to work with a different sport, or whatever it is. You start to think about, okay, well, what's this? That personal life is really enveloping, and I think we often forget about that when we consider the next opportunity. Where it's like, okay, well, I'm making okay money here. I like the people I work with. Maybe I want to work with a different sport, but I have my friends. I have, a great place to live. It's not too high of cost of living. I can go down to like four different restaurants if I want to and feel like I'm taken care of. All these like over enveloping things, and that I think that kind of like then it brings you back down to earth a little bit of like, okay, maybe I don't need to leave. And then you see stuff like that on the flip side, and it's like, okay, well, they see 500 customers a day, whatever it may be. Maybe that's a little high, but every time I come in, they recognize me and they take care of me. So then you think about that, it's like, okay, well, I see 50 athletes. Can't I do that with the athletes?
Mhm.
And then you start to think like, maybe the job's not that hard. Maybe I should care or put in a little bit more effort here. or there in this place. I think that stuff's often forgotten about. Um, like you said, in that human element. And it's like, or the critical thinking aspect where you kind of over process it. And that's where I kind of go back on this piece that I'm really alluding to, which is when we go into like a process, you can have a process for everything, in my opinion. But what that process needs to look like is a bandwidth or framework that they can operate in between. And that's where like, hey man, like just don't go outside this side and don't go outside the box on this side. Everything in between, I want you to just be as creative and use like the human element to use your critical thinking to get the path forward. Just don't hit this wall, don't hit this wall. Just keep moving forward. Like what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's really good. Like autonomy is something I think we both really value. I think we would, I mean, I think we would both very gladly take like a little less money to have more autonomy versus like, okay, I'm making a little bit more money, but like you're just kind of do as I say, and like you don't really have. And I think a lot of people value that, especially in today's like world. We want to feel like we're be able to be creative and like have a little bit of like an impact outside of just like a system. That's kind of like why a lot of people don't like to stay. I mean, that's why the jobs you have like before you go to college or before you like build like a skill are usually like gas station or like working at a restaurant where it's like pretty set in stone. Like, yeah, that human element in your personality is going to individualize it a little bit, but for the most part, like you're not going to like, hey, I want to like stock the shelves in a completely different way. Let's put the drinks over here. Like that's not going to happen. Um, I think the autonomy is huge. It's something that I really value. That and the relationships. I think it all comes back to that. Like even if you don't end up learning a ton about what other people's like domain, if you're at least talking to them pretty regularly, that way when you do need something, you're not just coming up to them. You haven't talked to them in a month, and you're like, hey, like I really need you to do this. And you're like, well, shit, like the only time you come to me is when you need something, not just to like bullshit or like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, we both know this, and I think intuitively coaches know this, but it's worth saying again, like relationships first and foremost is going to be
The most important thing.
it's the most important thing. It's like the knowledge, knowledge is great. You should always be striving to like have more knowledge and gain mastery over your craft. But like, shit, man, like I went down to the DR, like when I first went down there, and like none of the stuff that I learned really in school or the X's and O's really mattered all that much. What mattered is like building a relationship with those guys, especially like as a non-Spanish speaker, coaching non-English speakers. Like I just first and foremost, I need to let them know that like I care and that like I'm invested in their development. It was a little bit tougher to I had to find a different way to like kind of let them know that with the language barrier. But if you take away that, like you don't have anything. It doesn't matter like how the degrees you have, where you've worked before, how good you are at programming. Um, yeah, I think we know that, but it's always worth mentioning like the relationships first and foremost, and then also be really good at that other stuff. But I mean, we've seen it a lot of times before. Like someone with a really good personality and good people skills, it's a lot easier to learn the technical skills to me than it is to like teach someone like how to be personable. Like I don't know how to really do that. I don't want to say that that can't like be improved, but
It's a lot tougher when you're like, you need to be a better person.
yeah, like why you like quit being so awkward? Like I
Yeah.
don't know how to undo 20 years of like what your life has been before I met you
Yeah.
versus like okay, like read these couple books, we'll have this conversation, watch this video,
Yeah.
make a program, and then I'm gonna like
Review
quiz you
it.
over it. Yeah, like stuff like that. Like that can be. I mean, I've seen myself and other people like you can make a ton of progress on that kind of stuff within an 8-week internship. We've seen that. Like that happened to
But
me. That
it's gonna
happened to a
take
lot.
months to years to make someone more charismatic or more outgoing or a louder speaker, whatever it is.
Right, and that kind of has
Or
to come from within. I think.
I think so too, and I think there's a little bit of like, there's personal development in building skill sets, and there's personal developments in growing and maturing as a human in order to understand like what's truly required out of a person, not just a worker for the position at hand. Um, and we all go through that pain. Like when I was like 22 as a director, I was like, you still want to be young, you want to be able to make mistakes, and then you kind of quickly realize it's like you're the figurehead. You can't really make these mistakes, and you can't be stupid in a sense. Like there's no room for error. Like maturation has to happen quickly, which is okay and it's good in a sense. And you can look back on it and say, man, I wish I had a different experience or this or that. But it all leads to the moments where you're probably a little bit more prepared in a different role. But the relationship aspect is beyond the most important thing. Even to just the same extent that you might work in the weight room, for 9 hours a day with the same five people. If you can't hang out with those five people, you're kind of screwed, man.
Yeah,
Like
I've
I'm
heard
not
of
saying
that.
you have to be, yeah, I'm not saying you have to be best friends with everybody you work. And, you know, honestly, almost everybody I've ever worked with has now become one of my best friends in my life and career. Shout out you. But like those are the people that like you spend so much time with, you have to be able to at least get along and BS and have a conversation with. If you can get more than that, you're probably going to be in one of those positions where, you know, like when you were at Elon and you got women's soccer at on Saturdays at like 9 a.m. and I'm just in there hanging out because I wanted to be around.
Yeah.
And then your week becomes more enjoyable. You can have things that go on in your own life and you can find comfort in the people around you. And then when you need something or you want to learn something, that person's more easily accessible, or vice versa. When they come to you, you're more willing just naturally to do something for somebody that you care about than just a random person who's asking you for a favor.
And it makes those, like, when you do have to have like a tough conversations,
Makes them
it
easier.
makes them easier because you've built that trust over time. Sucks having a difficult conversation with someone when you never talk to them. Then you just see them as a dickhead, and maybe
Yeah.
they are because they never talk to you. But if I have someone that's like, okay, bullshits with me during the day, helps me, we work together, we're like, conversing all the time, then when it comes down to that, yeah, like it still might hurt a little bit, but I know it's coming from a good place.
hmm And it's like, like you said, those uncomfortable conversations happen easier. They also happen more, I would say, rapidly and more often.
There's not
Where,
as much beating around the bush.
yeah, it doesn't have to be a set aside meeting. It can be
Yeah, it's
like,
just like, hey, like this has got to be better. Like, what's
yeah,
going? Yeah, it doesn't have
like
to
what do you,
be.
what'd you do on that? Why'd you do that?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like, oh, like meet me in my office at this time, and then leave you 6 hours to stew in your head about like what you did wrong.
And
It's just like, hey,
overthink it and this and that.
exactly.
It's very much like, hey man, don't do that.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
yeah,
Like that they're not like trying to be like a dickhead about it, and they probably don't like to have to tell you something, but it's just like, hey, this is for the betterment of you. Like this is the way you should do this. You know? But it also bleeds probably to better learning in the sense of like you'll have more conversations outside of the realm of like look at us for example. This not saying everybody has to follow our path, and definitely don't make another podcast because we'll be pissed off about that. We don't need more competition. Everybody's got one now. Um, but in the sense of like us BSing all the time, right? We found new ideas. We took ideas from each other. I have said it 1,000 times. I took the way you worked VBT into your program is still the way that I do it now. Um, but those kind of things occur. And then it's like, but that didn't occur because I went and I said, I need to see what Christian's doing. It's you and I were sitting in an office, literally cracking an energy drink, BSing about, well, I couldn't even tell you what, probably anything else other than sports.
right.
And then it led to that, you know? And it's like those things aren't happening as naturally if you don't have the relationships around you. They're the most vital things in there. And then later down the road, whether for all I know, you could become the head of an MLB organization and say, I want to bring Brian in. You know,
Speed guy.
that kind of, you know what I mean? But it's like that kind of thing where you don't know where that's going to be. And we told you this at like the start of the internship is like these are the people that you will grow in the industry with. Make friends with them. It's obviously a competition. We want to see you guys like push each other, but at the same time, like everyone's the same age. You never know when someone's going to call you up and say, I have an opening. You're the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So you have to help yourself out, and don't think of it as, the corporate asshole who's like, I'm going there to network.
Yeah.
Did you see my Amex Black card?
Check me out on LinkedIn.
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn. I'd like to connect.
Yeah, let's connect on LinkedIn. I mean, like a LinkedIn post. Fuck.
Yeah, this is what it taught me about B2B sales.
God. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, shit. Like this has been my first week in Arizona, and like almost every day we've played. I don't know. You know that they know the game, like GeoGuessr. Just drops you on a random place on like Google Maps, and you have to like.
Oh yeah, and you got to find out where you're at.
We've played that like every day as a staff at the end of the day, and it's like nothing to fucking do with SNC, but like we're like competing against each other, like talking shit, trying to trying to find this place on a map.
Dude,
Having like,
ours is the perfect grid where it gives you the 9 grid spaces, and it's like this person passed for 10,000 yards, but they also played for the Jets, and it's like trying to find the most like
yep, they do.
obscure one that is, yeah, and
Yep,
it's like
stuff like that. It's just like
stuff that just breaks up the day.
exactly, and then like yeah, it's you feel a lot. You also feel a lot more comfortable, like because no one knows everything, and I think it's always important to like not be afraid to look stupid, especially in like I mean, yeah, just in general, like if being
Take your job
okay,
seriously, but not yourself.
exactly. Like I like to say, like okay, look, be willing to look stupid now so that you can actually be smart later on, and then that
Hmm.
obviously that's just like a moving goalpost. Like you always like are willing to look stupid so that you can just be a little bit smarter later on. It's a lot easier to do that when you're not all so tense and trying to like not look bad in front of the people because you don't have that deeper relationship with them. I feel like really comfortable here. Like I don't feel, I probably ask some dumb questions, but it's like, okay, like at least I know. And then I know
Yeah,
that, and I'm not 3 years down the road and looking stupid at an even older age where people probably expect a little bit more out of me.
this guy
Um,
still doesn't know.
exactly. Like stuff like that. Or like I asked
They also
our,
you also demonstrate like a hunger to learn,
yeah,
where it's like they give you the discount on not knowing something because you're also self-aware to be like, I don't know where I'm at. Like I
right.
don't know what I'm doing with this piece. I want to get better.
Right. And I think that's like one of the best traits, coaches and like anyone in general who wants to just get better at something is that like that genuine like curiosity, humbleness, like hunger to learn. And like you said, like it doesn't have to be about S&C. Like I asked our assistant director, like we were doing our open enrollment for like our, insurance and stuff for the next year. And I had like some questions. I'm like, hey, like I don't know what the fuck this means. Like, do I need to be like concerned with like putting money into this? And he's like, yeah, like, because he has a little bit of like an accounting background too. And like he was able to answer my questions. So like being able to go to people about like stuff outside of SNC too is really important because like finance especially, it's something that like people aren't educated on enough, I think, in SNC. It's already bad enough that like a lot of people are underpaid, but like, okay,
What do you
can
do with the
you
money that you do earn?
exactly, can you at least do something effective with the money that you do earn so that like, okay, you're at least putting a little bit away for yourself, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Should we wrap this bad boy up?
I think we inexplicably, I think we never really talked about anything traditional S&C, and I'm okay with that because this was a really fun one.
I know. I think some coaches probably they probably never listened to us in the first place if we don't talk
Yeah,
about S and C. But I think we have a little bit different target audience than
traditional S&C podcasts.
yeah. But
You want to
yeah,
go first?
yeah. For the Hawaiian Punch, like I said, the carbonation throws you for a little bit of a loop just because Hawaiian Punch isn't carbonated. It does get close to the flavor, and I will say I haven't had a ton of fruit punch energy drinks. I want to say Rockstar like Zero did one a
Rockstar Zero had like the
long
one that I actually liked.
long time ago, and I can't even remember like how it tasted. People just don't do fruit punch. It's not great. It's definitely not one of my favorite C4s, but I'll probably gonna go like a 6.4. Like I think my favorite C4 flavor would probably be I like the green green apple Jolly Rancher one. That one smacks, or the watermelon. Those are probably like high eights for me, like 8.7, 8.8. Those are really
Mm-hmm.
good. If they had nootropics in there, that would even bump it up a little bit. But I'm gonna go like a 6.4 here. So not bad. Probably would not pick it up again unless I'm in a pinch though.
Yeah.
I do like the can though.
I like seeing the Hawaiian Punch on the striping of the can.
Yes. Well done there.
Again, we C4, same formula. And we can go on and on, but like if they put nootropics in, it would almost be a perfect formula for performance. You have the carnosine beta alanine, you have 200 milligrams of caffeine. Like it's a really good formula, and nobody else is really putting beta alanine in a can to almost like turn it more into like a true performance drink than just an energy drink. Um, when it comes to like the can on this one, obviously, like there's like small details that people probably miss, and it's like the dotting above the yellow, which is like the iconic popsicle kind of dotting. Obviously, you show like the legit creamsicle, like it is branded creamsicle to a T. Um, I'm not a huge creamsicle, orange cream kind of guy. I think I gave Ghost 7.4, maybe. I think that was something around there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I see where you're at with like the Hawaiian Punch. As a not creamsicle guy, I think this is the best orange cream flavor that I've had because it's the closest to the original creamsicle, which is crazy that I don't love the orange cream as a drink, but I love it as like a popsicle. Who knows? Maybe it's like a, I don't know, fixation thing, but um I'm gonna go like 7.6, 7.7, probably like in that range. It's very solid. I think if anybody does like a creamsicle orange cream kind of flavor, this will be their favorite, especially if they grew up with the popsicle itself or the ice cream bar, however you want to call it. This is the closest you will absolutely get. It is the legitimate branding, and it is that flavor at the start, that orange. It is the like vanilla kind of sweet cream on the inside. Like pause, but it's as close as you can get, man. So I'm going like 7.6 on this. It's that was good.
That's solid,
What like
especially
that
coming
way
from
more
you.
than I thought. Yeah, I like that way more than I thought of. Or I thought I would.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick one of those up if I see one.
Now you got the chance.
Exactly.
Bring man.
That's right. All right, folks. Well, as always, really appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your day, watching, listening. You can catch full episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, bevboys.tv, past, future, present clips, and then our personal social medias, French_fit40 for me, bevboys, training, travel, etc., random shit. Brian can be found at
BSZUTKOWSKI. B Shakuski. Again, I apologize for the length of my last name. I didn't choose it.
You didn't. So much of the same good, really good training content, Bev Boys content, stuff like that. Bevboys.com if you want to support the boys, buy a shirt, buy a hat, and stay tuned. We got some. I feel like we're gonna have some really good episodes coming up here. Some good drinks, some good guests. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of Bev Boys. Shit, we've been coming up on. We're almost 2 years into this thing in January.
Almost 2 years. We've grown a ton. I remember when we first released like the first 3 episodes, we had obviously like the athletes that we coached would try to listen and watch it to support us because they were ballers. They wanted to
Exactly.
support us. And now we have people that listen to us that we don't even know or that we're in our circles that never thought we really did this and gave us a shot to listen. So everybody that has listened, like this is awesome. We may not be a truly quote unquote successful like monetary podcast in any way, shape, or form at this point. Yet, still waiting on some sponsorship opportunities. Particularly maybe one that I've tattooed on myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's on maternity leave. I gotta wait.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We'll give it time.
But we have some cool things like starting to actually come to fruition from the time investment that we put in. We truly like love you guys for listening to us. But we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace.